Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Uh, Inshallah, tonight we will have some lessons and reflections on the story of Sayyida Maryam, Mary, the best of all women, and an entire surah in the Quran chapter that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala named after this special lady. And the Prophet ﷺ said that four women made it to perfection in all aspects. First of them is Mary, Maryam ibnata Imran, the daughter of Imran, and Asiyah bint Muzahim, this is the wife of Pharaoh. She was such a good, perfect lady. And Khadijah bint Khuwaylid, his wife, his first wife, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his daughter Fatima bint Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So those four, they were perfect in all aspects. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Tahrim, this chapter in the Quran, He gave an example for all the believers. He said, He set an example for all the believers, and He mentioned two ladies to be role models or examples for all the believers, men and women. And those two examples were Maryam, Mary, and the second example is Asiya. The name of Asiya is not mentioned in the Quran, but the wife of Fir'aun, even though husband is one of the worst, the husband is one of the worst, Pharaoh, Fir'aun. His wife was the most, I mean, one of the four perfect women that Allah Azza wa Jalla Himself will give as an example for humanity, for everybody who reads the Quran, and everybody who's trying to get guidance, and everybody who's trying to look up as a role model. He said, this is the example in here. So an entire chapter in the Quran named after her, even for Christians who believe, believing in Mary is a cornerstone of the faith of Christianity. You wouldn't see even a chapter after her name, or even a lot of details. There is not a lot of details about her life in the Bible, as it is in the Quran. From Quran talks a lot about Maryam alayhi salam even before she is born. He's talking to us how righteous was her family. Before she was born, her mother took kind of a vow. She said when she knew that she's pregnant, that this whatever that will come, I vowed for God, for Allah, which means that she thought he's going to be a baby boy, and she vowed that she will dedicate him for the service of the temple and just give him for God, and he will be a man of God, and so on. She turned to be a girl when she delivered, and she was sad. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kind of, talked to us a little bit about this in the Quran. And she was accepted as even though she is a female, and usually females are not, at this time, are not, to do this position or to work like that in the temple. But she was accepted, and she led a miraculous kind of beginning of her life. She was taught by one of the prophets, who was the prophet who taught her at this level, as mentioned in the Quran. Question. Zakaria, Prophet Zakaria, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, he was there teaching her, guiding her, and she was there so devoted to Allah, dedicated to Allah, praying a lot, doing everything perfect. So much so that angels were talking to her. They were coming to her in her place of worship and giving her special things, fruits of the summer and the winter, fruits of the winter and the summer, so special things, so much so that Prophet Zakaria himself, he felt like, what's going on in here? Every time he comes to her, there's something special, there are some miracles going on. And Allah also mentioned about this in the Quran in Surah Al Imran, chapter Al Imran. So this is the kind of beginning of a life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shows for Maryam. Even though the mother didn't expect a baby girl, things could not be expected. Lesson number one, even before we get to Maryam herself, you could expect that goodness is coming from somewhere, but it turns to be the opposite. She thought he's going to be a baby boy, and that's what she's looking at, and that's her direction. But it was the opposite. It was a baby girl. The mother was kind of, disappointed somehow, but then it was all the blessing, the most blessed girl ever that she could think of. And then from her will come one of the most blessed people ever, Sayyidina Isa, Prophet Isa, or Jesus alayhi salam, from her. So this is the kind of lady. She grew up, in such a special, with such a special status. Angels were talking to her. They were coming to her, Ya Maryamu, inna Allah astafaki. Oh Mary, indeed Allah has chosen you, وطهرك, and purified you, واصطفاك على نساء العالمين, and chosen you over the women of the entire world, or worlds, anybody to come. So this is such a special, rank in there. And then something more special will happen to her when she will, grow up and go ahead in life. That one day she felt that she wanted to go take kind of a break, or just go somewhere. And she went to the east, as the Quran mentioned in Surah Maryam, went to the eastern part of Jerusalem, just walking around or something. And then all of a sudden she felt somebody came to her, a male, somebody who looks like a human being, and we will know in a second that he was not a human being, so beautiful or so handsome, and he was talking to her. And here the first thing she said, قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. I seek refuge with the beneficent, with God, from you. If you want anything, meaning if you want to do anything wrong, I'm not for that. And she reminded him, in kunta taqiyya, like if you are truly a good person, you don't want to think anything wrong, or so. قال إنما أنا رسول ربك لأهب لك غلاما زكيا. And then he gave her the message that I am a messenger from your Lord, and I'm coming with some news for you. You will be given a gift from God, غلاما زكيا, a pure or purified boy, baby boy. And she wonders, how could I give birth to a baby? ولم يمسسني بشر, no human being touched me. I didn't have the relationship with any man. ولم أك بغيا, I'm not married, and I'm not a prostitute, or that's something. How could this happen? She is thinking, the regular way. How come I would have a baby and I'm virgin? I didn't get married or anything. ولم يمسسني بشر ولم أك بغيا. قال كذلك. He said, such as your Lord decided. That's what your Lord. I'm just carrying the message for you. That's what the Lord decided. This is a decree from God, and it is set in such a way to be an example for everybody to come. وَلِنَجْعَلَهُ آيَةً لِلنَّاسِ, to make him like a miracle for all people. وَرَحْمَةً مِنَّا, and as a mercy from us. وَكَانَ أَمْرًا مَقْضِيًّا, and this is something decreed already by God. فحملته فانتبذت به مكانا قصيا, and all of a sudden the angel blew in her from the spirit of God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he created Adam, he created the body, he shaped the body from earth. And then the special thing about us is our soul. That's what we go by. We usually tend to focus about our bodies, beauty, weight, whatever, how we look, the hair. It's good, there's nothing wrong with that, but we highlight it very much, so much so that we might tend to ignore to invest in our soul and in our nafs and our spirit. And that's the most important thing. You might have people who are the strongest, having the best of bodies, but they are suffering from within, and then crazy things will happen. They are not happy. You might find somebody who's being tested in their body and their wealth or whatever, but then they are the happiest, because happiness has to do more with the soul, satisfaction and contentment of your soul. So Allah made us shaped us, Adam, our father, from clay, and then the special thing, which is directly from God, is this soul. As Allah said, وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I blew in him from my spirit. So he ordered angel to prostrate to Adam. And then we are the children of Adam. We have this special thing a special gift from God, this soul. So Isa alayhi salam was created a little differently, not, Allah created Adam in a special way, and then everybody comes after that through the procreation or through the regular relationship between a male and female. Isa or Jesus did not come the same way, but he came, as Allah said in Surah Ali Imran, chapter Ali Imran, إِنَّ مَثَلَ عِيسَى عِنْدَ اللَّهِ كَمَثَلِ آدَمَ. The example of Isa, Jesus, with Allah is like the example of Adam. خلقه من تراب. He created him from dust, earth. ثم قال له كن فيكون. And then he said be, and he was. So it's simple and easy. It doesn't have to be not because he didn't have father that he becomes God, or confusing for some people. Simply because Adam, if Jesus alayhi salam, Isa didn't have father, then Adam alayhi salam didn't have father or mother. So the angel blew in a Sayyida Maryam, Mary, from the Spirit of God. He was sent with this mission to put that soul in the body that will come. And how did he do it? They said, according to some narrations, this is not in the Quran, but some of the exegetes or the mufassirun, they said he blew in her, like right here, and it gets into her body, and she got pregnant right away. It's, things happen without having to have a relationship with a male. She got pregnant. How long did she get pregnant? Usually the Quran would not talk to us about the details. How long and what was the name of that person and what date was it? All of these are irrelevant because we're focusing on some lessons and some meaningful reflections to get from there. It didn't mention how long. Mufassirun, they said, those who made comments in the Quran, scholars, they said some said it was only a few hours. Just, it happened. All of it, she's pregnant, she's ready to give birth. Some said no, it was for a few hours, and some said it just went like regular. And everybody quote his own, evidence to support his view. But in any way, it was a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and now it was time for her to give birth. And she didn't know what to do. Now the miracle happened. You should just try to imagine. Sometimes you get overwhelmed by what's going on around you, being it good or bad. You could probably imagine. We know that this is a miracle, and this is you are the best lady, and who you will give birth. We know the story. We know the beginning, the end. But just imagine you are in her place. You don't know what to do. You have family that's there, and you have people, and you live in a certain context of time. And that's what she was worried about, and that's what the surah is talking to us, the psychology of Maryam. She was worried. What would my people say? I mean, she didn't know that he will speak in the Creator and all of that. We know all of that. But try to imagine, the lesson for us here, the focus here, the snapshot is many times we are overwhelmed by circumstances around us, things that's happening to us. Let's have trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and let's go with the qadr. Go with the destiny and what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is planning, the plan of Allah. You never know from the beginning of the story. You never know what you think is good or bad could be good. And the opposite, as Allah said it clearly in the Quran, وَعَسَىٰ أَن تَكْرَهُ شَيْئًا. You probably may hate something, dislike something, and it turns to be good for you. وَعَسَىٰ أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا. You might love something and it turns to be bad for you. So that's how the story goes. She thought, what could I do? She went far, somewhere, and she was ready to give birth. فأجاءها المخاض إلى جذع النخلة. She got to the labor, and she was sitting under a palm tree, and then she didn't know what to do. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is the only lady, at least in the Quran, that we know for sure that an angel was communicating between her and God. That happens only to messengers, prophets of God that receives messages from God through angels. But this is only, and they happen to be all males, but this is the only female that we know. There was communication between her and God through the same way of prophets. That's why some scholars even believe that we have prophetesses. Not only prophets, we have prophet females as well. Minority of scholars, but they quote such ayat, and it's very strong also because this is somebody who's receiving mission from God and messages and communications through angel. Even one of them, according to them, is Maryam, is one of them. So she was in the labor process. She was under the palm tree, not knowing what to do. And just like our sister, all right, not knowing what to do with the phone, I mean. So she was there, and then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her the guidance, وَهُزِّي إِلَيْكِ بِجِذْعِ النَّخْلَةِ. Shake the trunk of the palm tree. And again, shake the trunk of palm tree. Even, the heroes of, Hollywood that we watch would not be able to do it. The strongest men. And so it's not possible. But again, another lesson as we are going, another thing for us is you need to work something. You need to follow the causes that lead to certain things. You are in a problem. You need to get out of the problem. You need to work to get out of this problem. You need to get a good job. So you need to go to school and study and apply for the job and get the job. We need to do things. You do not just wait. We believe in there is provision from Allah. I have my share, decided even before I come to life. What does it mean? Sit home and it will come to you. It doesn't work this way. Prophet ﷺ said, met some people from Yemen who were sitting in the masjid, coming to visit, just sitting. He goes, comes back again, they're still there, leaves and comes back, they're still there. He said, what are you doing here? They said, نحن المتوكلون. He said, we are the group of people who put trust in God. And he said, no. He fixed it to them. No, that's not the right way of putting trust in God. Yes, we trust God, but you work, you follow the causes. And then in the other hadith, he gave us the example. If you truly put trust in God, he will give you like he gives for the birds. What do the birds do? تغدو خماصا. They fly in the morning, they go out, leave nests in the morning with empty stomach. وتعود بطانا. And they come at the end of the day full stomach. So the point is that they go out, they have to work, they search, and then Allah gives them everything. So she has to work. Yes, Allah is going to give you a miracle. If Allah is giving you a miracle, a prophet, and you are giving birth to a human being in a miraculous way, then he is capable of just giving you food. Why do you have to do? No, you have to do something. It's going to come to you, but just do something. Even if it doesn't look like this will lead to it, but at least do your part, because even if a strong man will shake the tree, it's not gonna, the palm tree, it's not gonna move it. It doesn't, you don't shake it from you, you have to go. And she was a woman in the labor. And anyway, she shook it, and then the rutaban janiya, this kind of ripe date came down to her. And then scholars would, especially nowadays, will talk about the benefits of the tamr, the dried date or the ripe dates in general, and how much blessings are in there, and healthy materials in there. Sugar, they said it's one of the fastest. I read one article, one of the fastest items that has sugar that gets to the blood the fastest. Within, I think they said 20 minutes or less than 20 minutes, it gets fully to the blood, and that's why maybe the sunnah is to eat it, break our fast on tamr. You take it, you go pray, and then come back to eat, so you get some energy and some nutrition. And she was in need for that, because labor would need some power from strength from her that was needed. And they talk a lot about the benefits of it, even for a woman giving birth, talking about it being good for the what do you call it, if you don't want to lose blood, it makes the blood not thinning the blood, the opposite of that, because she will be in the process of laboring and she might lose a lot of blood. So this it does this, right? Yeah, so some kind of clotting, not clotting, I mean, yeah, not to lose a lot of blood. They said that's there in a tamr, in the dried date. When you eat it, it helps do the opposite of aspirin, for example. Doesn't look, it helps not to lose a lot of blood. And they talk about a lot of other benefits that was needed for her at this time, and all of that, is there. And they even call it a pharmacy. It's a full pharmacy in there in just this date. And again, it's the sunnah to eat it, especially first thing in the morning. You get like a full meal when you do that. It doesn't, they talk about a lot of aspects of a tamr, the dried date. You know, if you leave some fruit outside, out of the fridge, they would get rotten after a while. That doesn't happen for some reason to the dates. You leave them, they dry, you leave them outside, they don't get rotten. They have some whatever elements in there. We need a nutritionist or something to talk to us. Right. Everything is in there. She had to do it. It came to her. She ate, and then she gave birth. And she was again. Now, yes, I was expecting a baby, but now I have a baby. What should I do? What millions of questions in her mind, not knowing where to go, what to do, how should I do it? And then all of a sudden, فناداها من تحتها. From beneath her, she received that call. Whether that was Jesus alayhi salam, the baby who was talking, or it was Jibreel, just give her a call. Anyway, she got this miraculous response to her the questions in her mind. ألا تحزني, do not be sad. قد جعل ربك تحتك سريا, and then he gave her, you know, here's a water coming all the way to you, a creek of pure water you can drink, and this is the food and this is it. Don't worry about nothing. There's a plan from God somehow to you, and don't worry. And then the angel again, Jibreel talked to her. فإما ترين من البشر أحدا, this is a plan. Take him and go. And if you see any human being, فقولي إني نذرت للرحمن صوما, you just say, I vow to do fasting. I'm practicing fasting now for Allah. And the form of fasting that she was doing was not like she's not eating or drinking, but she's not talking. That I'm not going to talk today. Like the angel told her, go and just do not talk to anybody. And if anybody talks to you and insists, hey, I'm fasting, there was a form of fasting in there. You know, we always think of fasting as not eating, not drinking. That's good. But one form of fasting is not to talk. Just hold this tongue a little bit, keep it in place. Nabi Sallallahu said the two things that gets people more than anything else to the hellfire is their tongue and their private parts. If you just keep those under control, tongue, you know, especially the tongue, that is going to save you a lot of, you know, things that you don't want to get into. So they were ready. She came. فأتت به قومها تحمله. She brought him, carried him, going back to her place. Everybody's looking at her. قالوا يا مريم لقد جئت شيئا فريا. Oh, Mary, you have committed something horrible. So judgment right away. You know, this kind of thing. People usually tend to judge, especially those kind of people back then. They would judge you right away. I mean, is there any justification for them? Could it be justified? I mean, ask her at least, who is that? How did it happen? Did you get married? Whatever. No, they got right away. They just judged her. You have committed that and now you have a baby, without even her saying anything. Prophet ﷺ, our Prophet, is teaching us the opposite. He would usually, if something looks that this is the message you're getting from the action of somebody, he would always make sure to ask questions. Even if he sees it, he would say, did you really mean that? Or did you do that? Like one day, somebody came, he was giving khutbah on Friday on the minbar, the podium, and this person came and sat down. You saw him, he came and he sat down. And he said, did you pray 2 rak'ah? He said, no. He said, please stand up and pray 2 rak'ah. It's a sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Before you go to the masjid, it's the greeting of the masjid. Before you sit down, is to pray 2 rak'ah. So the point here is he asked him, did you pray? Maybe he prayed in one of the corners. I didn't see him. He just wanted to make sure. Did you pray 2 rak'ah? You don't want to judge him. You didn't pray 2 rak'ah. Stand up and pray 2 rak'ah. You didn't do it this way. You just had to ask him and clear it first. And he did that in many cases and in many situations where he would, to the limit even of the story, as I always quote that, the story of the two, of the lady who committed illegal, you know, zina with that man, and she came to him. The man came first, and he came to his, Ya Rasulullah, I committed zina, and I need to get the punishment, adultery. and he said, I need to get the punishment, I'm repenting, and I really did something bad. Then this is the highest form of evidence. The highest form of evidence is confession. Somebody is confessing to you. And then he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, maybe you didn't do full adultery. Maybe you just did some kind of foreplay, hug, kiss, whatever. He's trying to tell him, no, you didn't do. Maybe you didn't do it. You didn't fully do it. You did something else. And every time the person was saying, no, I did it. No. So the point here again is the Prophet ﷺ is not like rushing to judge him, even if he is coming out of his track to confess that this is what I did. And he kept telling him, going into details, you know, did you probably did that, you probably did that. He said, no, 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 and every time. The lady also, when she came later, she said, he started doing the same thing. And he said, maybe you did that. Maybe she said, no, don't try to make it with me like you tried it with the man, because I'm already pregnant. So the point again here is, it's easy for us. Maybe it's a desire in our mind or something to easily judge others. Many times we judge them even before seeing really something, just by hearing something about them, which is less in effect, but we tend to do. Oh, she said that? Oh, yeah. And we start making stories and it goes, rumors and gossip and stuff. But many times, even in Islam, you see something, especially about something that you have to go by the credit you got. Make sure you clear it first. Did you really mean that? Did you really? So you clear it. Those people judged her. She didn't say anything. They just, how could you do it? Ya ukhta Harun, ma kana abuki imra'a saw. They said, oh, sister of Harun. Harun used to be not Harun, the brother of Musa alayhi salam, but that was a righteous person from her family. And they were always holding him as an example. And she said, like, you're from the family of Harun, that righteous person. How could you do that? Like you see a policeman, for example, breaking the law, and you say, you, man of law. So you're saying, you, sister of Harun, from the family, you do that? How could you do it? وَمَا كَانَتْ أُمُّكِ بَغِيًّا. And your mother was not involved in anything like that. It hurts when you talk. She didn't do anything. She didn't say, she was directed by Allah not to say anything, and then the miracle will happen again. That again, I keep saying that Jesus alayhi salam talked in the cradle as one of the so many miracles that's not even found in the Bible. We tell the Christians we have more miracles about Jesus than you do have in your Bible. One of them is that he talked in the cradle, and this is the only possible way that it could go and happen, because no matter what she will say, it will not work. It was an angel coming from God. It was trying to get us. What are you saying, angel? They would not understand anything unless a miracle will happen, and that's exactly what happened. Isa talked right away, alayhi salam. فأشارت إليه. She didn't know what to say. She just pointed to him. She didn't probably know that he will speak, but that's what happened. And he said, قال إني عبد الله. He said, I'm the slave of Allah. آتاني الكتاب. He gave me the book, the scripture. وجعلني نبيا. He made me a prophet. وجعلني مباركا أينما. And you could imagine, subhanAllah, later on when he would be a prophet and he will preach them and everything, there will still some people who wouldn't accept him. Truth sometimes is as clear as the sun. But we have some glasses or some stuff in our eyes that we don't see it. We need to just take off those things to see the truth. This is a person who miraculously talked to you in the cradle and he told you I'm a prophet, this and that. So you should have probably put them as like saints from now and wait for that prophet to come, which did not really happen. Jews at this time, they even were waiting for him and they plotted to kill him and crucify him and everything. Anyway, don't worry much, as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us whatever happens to you, whatever people will say about you, judge you, things will happen to you. Don't worry much, because this was the best lady ever, and this was one of the best prophets, and that's what happened to them. That's what happened to Sayyidah Maryam being judged, and that's what happened to Sayyidina Isa at the end. They took him to crucify him, but according to our faith, he was not crucified. He was taken out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save him from that, and he will send him back at the end of the time to continue his life to kill the Antichrist at the end and continue his normal life and die like any human being on earth. And that's I'm not going over the details of the entire story, but those are some lessons that we really need to look even deeper into, especially when things happen to us, especially when we are faced with circumstances and things. The help of Allah is there, the support of Allah is there. Why all of that? Yes, it's the plan of Allah, but she was good. She was righteous. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports everybody, but if somebody is righteous, Allah will try them and everything, but He will also give them support. We need to set our record straight with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala so He gets us out of trouble. Sending trouble to somebody happened even to prophets and the best people like that, men and women, and Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always gives support and give reassurance. Yes, in the middle of the turmoil, we will be confused and everything. But then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always Rahim, merciful. He sends way out. He paves the way for us towards, getting stronger and stronger and so on. Those were a couple of lessons. Time is very limited because we're praying Isha very soon. And I'm opening the floor right now. If you could give a comment, or if there's other lessons that you learned from the story of Sayyidah Maryam alayhi salam, may Allah's peace be upon her. Feel free to share it, inshallah, with us. Like what else? You said there are other miracles? Read a little bit about the history of Christianity and how a lot of pagan ideas were quoted from elsewhere, and they had these canonical things in there, and they agreed that this is what we're going to adopt as far as Christianity. Everything else is so many things were added. And even if without looking at the history, you could see which kind of Christianity, because you have so many opposite directions right now, from saying Jesus is God or Son of God, or no, Jehovah's Witnesses, they said no, he's, to the Unitarian, to so many, that couldn't all fit in one direction. So, and that's why Allah would send another prophet after that. It's not just, it's meant because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want the religion. He left it for people before to take care of it, but people played with it. They added, they took off. Then Allah sent the message to be meant to be final message. And it's so simple. Because that's why all of these people who come and accept Islam, even though all of these Islamophobia is out there and demonization of Islam is there, but it's still the fastest growing religion. Why? Because if somebody just give it an ounce of thought, reading it over a website or listening to something or reading the Quran, not being really biased, should make sense. It's easy, simple. This is how Allah created him, prophet, great prophet, even according to the Bible. Talking in many places that he was sent, he's there to achieve the will of the one who sent him, and many things like that. When you get deep into the details of really discussing or trying to know what do they believe in, as far as like, how do you believe he's the Son of God? Explain it to me. Nobody up until now, for me, because I'm interested to just get to the logic of it, no one has explained it to me. When they try to explain it to me, they get me more confused, and they are themselves confused, and we get to a dead end, and they said, you know what, it's meant to be like that, just have faith in it. That's right, faith, you need to take many things, even in Islam, you just have to have faith in them, but not the core of the faith itself. We should have the foundation there, clear, that should be as clear and strong as possible. And then based on that, so the concept of God itself, how, what is it and everything, that should be as found as like concrete in there. Based on that, you believe in the powers of God. He tells you about day of judgment, yes, I believe he can do that. He tells you about, yes, because it is there. But the very essence of your faith is kind of, you're not sure about it, then there's a problem.
Also reminds me of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to make a call that to invite them to come. And when Ibrahim alayhi salam said, how will my voice reach for these people?
That's
He
beautiful.
was told also to just do it, make the call.
Do your job. You make the call. When he built the house, the Kaaba, وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ, proclaim it on people. They will come. How could I do it? Ibrahim asked some question, or just to know, where will my voice reach? Mile 2 or something? He said, you make the call. That's your business. You make the call. Then we will make it reach to people everywhere. Ibrahim alayhi salam didn't know that people from Panama City, Florida, United States, will go to make Hajj. People from some places in Indonesia that they don't even know the name, they would respond to the call and they go all the way to Mecca to make Hajj. That's the plan of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for things. The verse of Allah asking Ibrahim to وَأَذِّن فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. That's the beginning of it. So, yeah, again, we need to do our part. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day is giving salam or met with one of the companions, and he shaking his hand, and his hand looked like tough from work. He was a handyman and he does a lot of work, and he said, "This is a hand that Allah and His Messenger loves." Why? Because that's out of work. It's not necessarily that you should do hand work and stuff, but work. Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, I get to know somebody and I kind of respect him from the first glance. And then you know that he doesn't have a job, like he doesn't work, intentionally choose not to work, he drops. I lose respect for that person. So we need to depend on ourselves and get involved in something to add to the world. Yes.
This might not be a question, but do we know what's going on right now in the world that we see? Do we know much?
He doesn't. Nobody knows the future or anything. Yes, that's beyond his capacity because Isa alayhi salam is a human being and mighty prophet, yes, but even our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran, he said, وَمَا أَدْرِي, I don't know what's going to happen to me or you. And he told them in other ayah, Luqman was reading it to me today, قُلْ لَا أَمْلِكُ لِنَفْسِي نَفْعًا وَلَا ضَرًّا. The Prophet ﷺ was talking to his people. He said, Allah is telling him, tell them I don't own or possess for myself harm or benefit unless Allah wills. So this is the best figure for us. He doesn't he cannot extend his life one day. He cannot know anything beyond his capacity until Allah makes him know that this is what's going to happen, as in the hadith. He's coming down for a mission, so Allah will make him qualified. Like he will know this is the Antichrist, and that's what's going on, and this is what you're going to do. He is, qualified. Yes, he's down to make a job, and can read a lot about that. He will come down on according to the hadith on the wings of two angels in Damascus somewhere, as mentioned in the hadith, and then he will have this kind of javelin and kill the Antichrist, and he will establish justice on earth after this kind of corruption and chaos. And believers, true believers, and they talk a lot about why Jesus. This is again some confusion even for Muslims. Why Jesus? Could he be really like what Christians are saying? I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says why Jonah or Prophet Yunus was swallowed by the Allah plans whatever miracle that will happen. But they thought about some wisdom is that because Isa alayhi salam was the most debatable person. People debated about him the most. Some say he's God, some say he's son of God, some say he's this and that. And so he will come back to set all of that straight. Maybe because Christianity is the religion that's followed by the most people now. So it's needed that I want to say the founder, the prophet of Christianity would come back to set it straight. No, right? And then the true followers of him, you can imagine, because if you stick to your notions and what you inherited from your families and everything, now you see Jesus himself coming to you, If that's really what you go by, then it's gonna be easy to say this is an impostor, this is not Jesus, whatever, and you will go by what you have, just inherited from people before, or the norms of your family, or what you believe in. And this is one of the most important obstacles in the faith of religion. Religion and faith, you need to be kind of neutral and give yourself to God and say, "Oh God, guide me." He will guide you, but do not just go by one mentality and mind. And because if that's the way, that happens in history as well. People were waiting for Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Jews, they knew his full description, even body description and name and the place he will appear on, and they were waiting for him. They came from all over the world, or the different places they were in. In Medina, they knew this is the place he's going to make hijrah to. They were waiting for him. He came, and just for the fact that he was an Arab, they thought he's going to be one of them. He said, "No, I'm not going to follow." So that happened. People are followers of Jesus and everything, Christians, and Jesus will come. I guess that many people would not follow him because they're not truly following Jesus. They're following their whims and desires and things like that. So he will set all of that straight.